Today I'm having a chat with Anna Iarotska, co-founder and CEO of Robo Wunderkind. Thank you for being here, Anna.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, first of all, what is Robo Wunderkind?
So Robo Wunderkind has started with an idea to create a possibility with children as young as 5 years old to build and program their own robots. And with time, the company developed its product offering to a solution. So we see ourselves as a partner for schools and school districts, and we help them in create a STEM ecosystem. So what do we mean under that? Like, we believe that it's very important to start early. So we start as young as in kindergarten, and we also want to offer opportunities for hands-on work and play. So we provide our robotics kits supported with apps for programming and standards aligned curriculum and teacher training to K-5 schools. So we focus on the US market at the moment, and so it starts at kindergarten, and then we have curriculum that covers the first 5 grades of school. And we believe that this is and for what our experience shows, that by providing resources, teacher training, and supporting with implementation, we can kickstart the STEM ecosystem.
Great. So you mentioned a robotics kit, right? What is that? What does it look like?
So it looks, it's basically Lego for building robots. So we have colorful building blocks, which they're in blue, red, orange. So this one, it has the light, that's a LED light, and this is an LED matrix. And those cubes can be snapped together to build different types of robots.
Okay. And this is the kit that is used for the age groups that go from kindergarten up until, you said what age? Sorry.
So K-5, so it is around 10. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And because we have a lot of sensors, so it is in the kindergarten, children usually start with just controlling robots, learning the functions, but then with time they can progress to using more. So this is a distance sensor, this is light sensor, we have also line following sensor and accelerometer, and then on the LED matrix they can program animations. So by having quite advanced functionality and in the robotics kit, and offering 3 different programming interfaces with different levels of complexity, we can create a really nice continuum of learning throughout their elementary school.
Okay, so basically the progression looks like with age development and skill development, they pass from the first programming interface to the second and the third programming interface, and more sensors are then utilized from the robotics kit. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
I see. So I think perhaps maybe we could take a look. Do you have a demo of Robo Wunderkind to show us?
Sure. And I think the best is to see how children interact with it. So yeah, let's check out our demo.
Wait, teach 5, 6, and 7-year-olds to design and program robots? Maybe you are crazy. The Robo Wunderkind products have had years of informed development and a successful direct-to-consumer period in Europe, selling over 25,000 units. When this team realized how their product could fill a gap in the US market, they decided to make US K-5 classrooms their 100% focus. STEM and STEAM has been very hard to bring to the earliest grades. First, you need a product that works for these learners, rather than a dumbed-down teen product. Robo rates best in this category. Second, and more difficult, fitting teaching modes with implementation support, lesson plans, and continuous educator success management. That's why it was so exciting when the company's largest district customer in North Carolina decided to co-develop the STEAM Hub they want for their elementary discovery core. For CEO Anna Iarotska, bringing the company from Austria to the US is just the next step on her journey. She's determined that every child should start out comfortable with math, tech, and design. Listen to Anna while she tells us why a reviewer from Prince George County, Maryland said, "We remain convinced that interdisciplinary learning and playful curricula set the standard for the future."
Yeah, thank you for showing us this, Anna. Super interesting. I'd like to understand a little bit better about the programming side of, well, before we discuss the programming side, in fact, you had mentioned that you aim to help schools create a broader STEM curriculum and help them in STEM studies since kindergarten. So my understanding is you provide the lesson plans as well, and you guide the teachers. How do you help teachers? Do you actually have a direct interaction with teachers as well, or how are you building lesson plans? What's going on that side of Robo Wunderkind?
Yeah, we believe that supporting teachers with the curriculum and training is a very crucial success factor in the implementation of STEAM programs. So we do directly interact with teachers because we offer onboarding and mentoring support during the work with Robo Wunderkind. And we also give them access to the library of resources. And it's something I would like to share. So let me share my screen. So here you see it's our STEAM Hub. It's a web-based platform which hosts the curriculum. So we are on the homepage, and we have so there is like explore the library section, join the community, professional development and tutorials. So those are videos which teachers can use, can watch when they have time. And there's a help and support section. So in the content collections, we have new to Robo, so like what we recommend for getting started. There is some holiday fun because it's always fun to do at school something which is related to the holidays around that time, tips and tricks section, and some inspire creativity. But though maybe like to go more deeper into the curriculum, I will go to the library section. And here we have the collection of our library resources. There is a number of filters, so teachers can filter them with like less than 1 hour, so which is the typical lesson time frame. 1 to 3 hours. It doesn't mean that it has to be done at the same, like in one go. It's rather projects which continue over more than one lesson. So let's say it is a project which is connected to building your own town, and you can work on it over 3 lessons. Then we have levels with a beginner, intermediate, advanced. So here we speak more about like the level of coding and robotics skills. But then there is also a filter with grades where we can filter for lessons which are connected to what is being taught at a certain grade, because our approach is to not to have coding and robotics as a standalone, but rather connect them to what students are learning at school. And that's why you can also, we create resources which do connect to, like, of course, computer science and robotics, but there is also connection to English language arts, engineering, maths, science, social studies. From the type of resources, like there's activities, like a shorter type of activity, lessons where like there's a full-fledged lesson, projects, and resources like helping to organize those activities. And then we can actually go into one of them. So for example, like what is a robot?
I'd like to check out one of them.
Yeah, so it is an English language arts lesson. We have 2 resources which support teachers. So one is a teacher's guide. So a teacher's guide is, let's enter the full screen. So it is a description of a lesson, a very detailed one. So it starts with the materials which you would need to run this lesson. Explanation what students will do. Like there is a list of standards. So as I mentioned, we focus with this with the STEAM Hub And our STEM program, we focus on the US market. So the standards we are quoting are Common Core standards and computer science standards.
Yeah.
The vocabulary which children would learn. And then there is a scenario for the lesson. And basically you have like all the resources you need here. So there is a read aloud story, which is also available on YouTube. So like we actually always pay attention that it is available in the free access, so that anyone can listen to it. And then we encourage a story discussion. And there is an activity, and in activity, like they do a certain activity with Robo Wunderkind. Yeah. And like, for example, with students that have previous Robo experience, like there is a type of activity they can do. And and like for students without previous Robo experience, there is an activity they can do. So we try to accommodate also different levels of skills. But so this is one side, but also like, so what we provide, because we want teachers to be completely prepared for going into the lesson. So this is a classroom presentation. So this is what teachers use to deliver a lesson in the classroom. And so those are slides which students get to see. So like the built-in video with a robot story, then discussion of what a robot is, discussion about robotics and like what it involves.
Wow.
Ideal tasks which we want to delegate to robots, those that are dull, dangerous, or difficult. Then it is a discussion. So what kind of presentation we want to prepare, and and then we go into the robot project. So like,
wow. So this is like ready to teach, like straight give to teachers and they can directly apply. This is amazing.
Exactly. So the idea is to take the load, to kind of make their teachers' life easier by giving them everything they need to run a class. And so creating a lot of engagement by having, like a very engaging tool they can use, but also just preparing everything they need. At the same time, like, there is also teachers that want to, there is always room also for teachers to experiment and to bring in their own ideas. So it is not very rigid, and like we do leave like a space for teachers to kind of express themselves, and because they also the ones who know best what works for their children. Yeah. But we are creating like a nice skeleton for the lesson.
Yeah. And definitely taking a lot of workload off their shoulders when they want some material to be ready, instead of having to put together a PowerPoint presentation on their own, which they already have enough work. So this is and how do you decide, like, how do you provide this material to a teacher or to schools? Because my understanding is your pricing model, which we haven't discussed yet, but the pricing model is on the kit, right? Which I was checking out earlier.
That's actually not exactly correct. So our pricing model is like we provide a subscription to schools, and subscription involves using robots, our programming apps, getting access to the curriculum, and getting our mentoring and implementation support.
Okay. So, but is the side of the kit correct? Like, can a child who wants to use the Robo Wunderkind kit at home, can they purchase it online and use it?
So at the moment, like we had a number of changes in our business model, and like we are focusing on schools, and we are focusing. So with our subscription model, we launched it in the US market. Yeah. In Europe, we work with a partner who continues selling robotics kits with their like standard curriculum to schools in Europe. So they do sell. So on the European side, we continue just providing robotics kits and the support by our distribution partner. On the US side, we're building up the ecosystem with the curriculum, evaluation, also more content directed at students in the STEAM hub. And this is a subscription business model.
I understand. The lesson plans and all the support that you're developing for the US market, is this accessible in Europe as well, or not yet?
No, it is not accessible in Europe. So like the whole curriculum we launched in the US is for like it's customized for the US. It is like we develop it along according to US based standards, curriculum standards, and that's basically like our current business focus. So to focus on the US market.
I understand. Nevertheless, I can't help but thinking many of these lesson plans, the material that you were showing me, this is something that could be utilized by a teacher in Europe as well, right? And then, of course, the organization of the whole structure needs to reflect the standards, but the single materials could be utilized easily by teachers everywhere. Is this something that you think you'd like to do in the future at some point to make it accessible in Europe?
So we would definitely like to do that in future. It is just that what our observations are that like the European market is let's say like less developed for that type of business model, but also in general for the use of digital content at schools. So we believe that in a couple of years we will launch that also in Europe, but we also want to see more market readiness for that.
Are you finding that European schools are less inclined to adopt a subscription-based model, or anyhow an externally provided model that then is integrated into the school itself, but purchased from outside in an ongoing manner? Is this something that you're finding harder to sell to European schools as opposed to American schools?
Yes, very short answer, yes. So I would describe it this way. So in the US market, also like a lot of it also was dominated by publishing houses, and it changed over the past probably 15 years. So in European market, I think it is just starting to change. And like there's huge differences between different country markets. So like some of them, I think like UK or Denmark, they are more open to using digital content, not just from publishing houses, but also from other like young innovative companies. But then like their other factor is that for each market, there is like their curriculum standards and their language. So that is also like a consideration in terms of the business focus. Because there are possibilities to sell subscription models also in Europe, but then how many of those are there, and like how big is actually the market?
Yes, of course. Unless
also, I think it probably depends on the subject, because we are like what we are offering is a STEM program, and this is not always, it's not yet everywhere part of the curriculum, which also makes a difference. So I think it could be somewhat different for some math products. Or like, like more established curriculum subjects.
And we have, especially in the UK, there are private EdTech companies providing, for example, maths platforms, and as you were saying, in certain areas it's more common than in other areas. Do you think it's this like model of running education, of looking mostly to established publishing houses, that is the main rock that you've found in the European market? Or do you also believe that there's like just at least something that I've observed in some of the European markets, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, some, I guess, ideological or part ideological component of not wanting to buy educational services from a private external provider, aside from the established publishing houses, because there's kind of the idea that the teacher is supposed to do this. Why do we need to go buy, except for stationery and a couple of other things, why do we need to go buy some ongoing support and outsource part of the education to a private provider? Is this something you have found, or perhaps not?
I do think that this is also somewhat part of the game. I can't quite comment whether US is ideologically different in that. It just like, for me, it was very insightful to see that in the mid-2000s, they had exactly the same. There were like a couple of publishing houses which all owned the market, and it changed dramatically over the last years. So I hope that the same change will come in Europe. But I do understand, like, and I experience that also in some way, that there is like a certain level of distrust towards private providers. But again, like, we're going through like very turbulent times with ChatGPT passing the exams of school graduation exams. So we'll see how all those dramatic changes will change their ideological positions of people.
I don't know whether systems are going to be fast enough to react, but so we jumped into some business questions, or general market business questions. But I did want to ask you about the development apps, the programming apps, whether we can take a look at those and understand how students progress from the first layer to the second to the third layer.
Sure. So this is the interface of our robot. And like right now, I have just one module connected. So if I start adding more modules, the app would be recognizing it and also adjusting the interface. So this is, now we see like we have, so app knows that we have already 4 modules attached, or like 3 modules attached to the main one. And it will be adjusting the programming interface accordingly. So this is like a constant live interaction between the robot and the programming. So we have 3 programming interfaces, like also with 3D models. So like this is a 3D model. Children can take a look how to put it together. And then we have some pre-saved. So this is a control. We call it a dashboard, controlling dashboard. So it is that's where we have actions which correspond to the modules that are currently attached. So, for example, the main block makes sounds, and here we have all sounds, and we then can add them to our control dashboard. And there is also color logic. So our main module is orange. That's why like their colors for the sounds are also orange. And our motor is in blue. So that's why it's also like all motor controls are in blue. So here can add the motor control. We can adjust it the way we prefer. And then when we press play, we can start controlling, we can start changing lights, we can play some sounds, and we can also control the motor by, so here like will be just like it's driving forward or driving backwards. And this is for turning in a certain degree. Yeah, so that's the first. It's actually not a strict programming yet. It's more controlling, but this is a great entry into the system for very young children, because they need to learn what is everything possible with the current build, and like what is the function of each module.
Of course.
And then we can move forward to the next programming interface. So we can save this control dashboard. So the next one is visual programming interface, which doesn't use any words. So here we have also a lot of like fun building, 3D building models, and like we can see how it all comes together. And it's also very helpful for children to develop the spatial reasoning.
Yeah.
So we have a pre-saved program, but I would actually prefer to show you from the beginning. So if we start a new one, so here again, we have the actions which are possible with the current build. We can add them to our canvas, programming canvas, and then we can connect them. And so here, what we created, we are asking our robot to move forward 35 centimeters. Then we wanted to blink for the light goes on for 3 seconds and in blue color. And then we have the sound. And so once we press play, the robot will start executing, it will start driving, then blinking in blue, and then making the alarm sound. And so everything looks very visual and playful, but actually it is a programming program. So we ask the robot to do 3 actions in a certain order. And their concept, our programming interface is based on state machines, which is a concept from math and foundation for a lot of for all electronic devices and robots to function, where you have like certain states and you transition from one state to another based on a condition, or when or when the state has been executed. And we can take it to the next level by building decision trees. So for example, I want my robot to make a decision. So I will create now, no, I wanted to add this. So now I have like, my robot will be like, okay, what am I actually supposed to do? I have here, should I start, once my motor has rotated, should I start blinking in blue or make a car sound? So we need to create a condition. And we do that by saying, so if there is an obstacle which is less than 14 centimeters, then make a car sound. If not, so while executing this state, the robot will be also monitoring, is there an obstacle? If it's done with executing the state and there is no obstacle, it will go here. But when there is obstacle, it will go here. So we helped our robot to make a decision what to do. And this, like, it can go like really, like we can build a lot of conditions and kind of like a maze for robot to follow, a decision tree to follow. And this is amazing that you see, like, we still have words, but they're not critical for understanding what is happening. And we make programming accessible to children at the same age when they learn how to read and write, which establishes it as one of foundational skills.
Yeah. What age group are we talking about here? Or, well, it really, once we abandon the concept of age groups, we get to skill groups, certainly, but generally speaking.
Yeah, so we recommend it for 6+. So like 6, we believe that 6, 7, 8 is in a great age to work in this interface. Yeah, and then we have our third interface, which is called Blockly. So let's take a look. So we can start a project. So here we also follow the same color logic. So it has proven as being very intuitive for children, so that they can connect the colors, so those basic colors, to their color of the module. So everything connected to motors is in blue, like visuals are in yellow, sounds are in orange. So we can also play notes, but of course we add here more, like, so there is a possibility to create functions, variables, to use operators, and there is a flow. So if, we can, I will, like, it would take some time to put together like a more sophisticated one, but we can work with with conditions and make it like this one is, like, it's connected. Blockly and Scratch interfaces are quite known, very well established, and we're using it as well, offering this opportunity. It is something like for teachers, those who have a lot of experience with computer science, it is something where they feel more comfortable with Scratch. And exactly, yeah. So it's very similar to Scratch. it's basically, yeah, like Blockly interface is adapted Scratch. We also adapted the interface to work with like all the functionality we have in the robot. So it is very, it is a very rich functionality and helps children to get to the next level of programming logic. But so what we see as an important and like why we really recommend to get started with the first two interfaces I was showing is because it's crucial to create a foundation and also to create interest from an early age. Because, Scratch is sometimes children like at 11, 12 would start working with Scratch. But the question is, what is their attitude and like what is their self-efficacy beliefs at this age? And like if they just start working with Scratch, they maybe like start struggling and they kind of like, okay, this is maybe not for me. And they drop out or like they lose interest. But so we believe, and like that's also supported by a lot of research, that the earlier you start and like with creating the positive attitude towards STEM and also positive self-efficacy beliefs about your own ability to engage with programming, to engage with robotics, to engage with experimenting and coming up with your own ideas, that this has a very positive impact on your sustained interest over teenage years. And that's that's why 3 interfaces, and that's why the learning progression and starting early.
Yeah. Well, we've seen the 3 interfaces. Now I think I understand the progression between the 3 of them. Thanks a lot for showing all of this to us. You've also answered my follow-up question, which would have been, what is the key importance of starting early with programming and robotics? I think the case you made is more than enough to explain.
Yeah. But maybe if I can add, so like, for example, now we see our main use case in the US, or like, let's put it like the largest implementations we currently have in the pipeline. And so we are currently with our program, subscription program, we are in 50 schools in the US, and we have in the pipeline 3 school districts roll out for the next year, where we would bring the number to 150 schools from September onwards. And what is interesting is that we are mostly working with school districts with a high minority student population and a high proportion of Title I schools, where they also see it as a possibility, like as a way, as a tool to create additional opportunities for children to experience STEM and to develop interest and positive attitude to science. So that's something we are also, like, just from our impact perspective and from our mission, we are very proud that we're being chosen by a school district that do like have a big challenge, like for them it is like they work with student populations that are underrepresented in science and in STEM, and that also have they have it's just like lower socioeconomic background. And we see like that with our program we are like planting the seeds and helping children to succeed in like we hope that we're helping them to succeed in life by creating those positive attitudes. So that's just some like it was very interesting development of for us on the US market, that we can, like, with what we are doing and with like this comprehensive support we are providing, that we are being chosen now like by school districts that have like actually a real challenge at their hands to solve.
For listeners who are not from the US, what does a US district rollout imply? Is it public schools, both public and private schools?
Yeah, so school districts are public schools. Basically, like there is always a division between public schools and private schools. So private schools usually they also sometimes have like there are networks of private schools, but usually like they're like much smaller. So school districts in the US can be also very different in size. So sometimes it's just 3 schools. Sometimes like the largest ones like Los Angeles and New York have 1 million children in their school district. So it is like it's a really big ones. So we are currently working with like, let's say, medium to large school districts, where we so the number of elementary schools would be around 50, like between 15 and 50 of elementary schools, but then they also have middle and high schools. So it is, like it's a school district which would serve like 60 to 70,000 students. So it is actually like they're being run as a like real corporation, because they are like quite big one. They serve a lot of students, and they have also school district teams that work on a certain topic. So there's like a curriculum director for elementary, there is instructional technology director, like there is sometimes STEM curriculum director. So we do have also people who work on exactly those topics, which we are, which are at the core of what we are doing. So, and this is sometimes also a difference to actually, I still need to compare it to, like Europe, that like such positions sometimes just don't exist in Austria, for example, where we initially started. And
what is it that doesn't exist in Austria? Sorry.
Like a position of a curriculum director, for example,
yes.
Because there is no discussion which curriculum is being taught. It's already prescribed. And so what we observe is that in the US, there is more freedom on a local level to decide on the curriculum which is being taught and what kind of content is being used. Like there is standards, state-based standards that need to be fulfilled, but how are they going to be fulfilled? School districts and sometimes even schools have more freedom on deciding that. And school district rollout means that there was a decision taken, and this decision is being usually taken after pilot and like initial work, that a product will be rolled out to all schools in the district. And that's basically, for an EdTech company, is a great next step. When you start small with a pilot, you agree on what kind of outcomes you want to see, to observe as part of this pilot. And when everything works according to the plan, there is a decision to scale it within the school district. And that's something we're looking forward to.
How do you manage to get involved with a school district and another school district, that the information that you can disclose about this?
So it is a lot of mouse propaganda. Like it's word of mouth. So they do recommend each other. And I think there is nothing more important than just focusing that your first customers or like generally that your customers are happy. And in education, it is even stronger that they recommend each other and they listen to what other like neighboring school district is using, or like what other they go to. So we go to a lot of local events. So just last week, our team was at NC TIES, which is North Carolina, at Education Technology Conference in Raleigh. And we have a lot of customers now in North Carolina. And so we're kind of like, just like building up these pockets of loyal users, happy users.
Do you have a particular story of how you managed to get your first school district?
We met them at in Florida at the FTC at an event. So it was actually events for us, kind of like the combination of events and then focusing on going more local, building local network was was our way.
And what do you think is the incentive for school districts, curriculum directors and the district in general to adopt an innovative solution such as Robo Wunderkind?
They have a problem to solve. Like they're looking for, so like, there was learning loss during COVID. Children are less engaged. They have fall behind in terms of their fine motoric skills, especially at the young age, and general behavioral issues and challenges, because again, like 2 years at home was not an easy time. So plus they know that like they need to work on, because they're also being measured on how many graduates from certain school go into STEM degrees. So they want to increase that. Then there is also a lot of initiatives like to build up the STEM, the pipeline of STEM workforce. So they kind of, and school like is part of it. that's they're just looking for solutions which would help them solve the problem.
Great. I have a couple of more questions about your team and business side of things. How many people are on your team now?
Yeah, so we're right now 14 people with actually like we're a remote first team, like it's organically developed like that because also of our focusing on the US market. We have part of the team is based in the US, part of the team is spread over Canada and Europe. Yeah, and
how many of these are on the pedagogy and learning sciences side? Because there's so much development going on the teacher plans.
Yeah, there are 5 people. 5 people.
5. What are their positions? Yeah. What are their roles?
So head of learning design, and then the content developers.
Okay, yeah. Do you outsource any part of the graphics and visuals?
No.
Wow, you do all the media and all the graphics in-house.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
We have a very talented team.
Yeah, amazing. And how about your business development stage? Perhaps even with a bit of background, like story of the company, if you'd like. Did you go through venture capital funding? What stage of funding are you at? And so on.
Yeah, so we definitely we can divide our history in a stage where we were more focused on selling robots, and that's what we've been doing. So indeed we were active selling robots on the website, on Amazon, and it's with time that the company transitioned to we transitioned to a different business model, to subscription business model, and focused on the US market. So we kind of divide in our stage of robotics, developing the robotics product and looking for ways to scale it. So that's where we've been, there was this period of the company, and now we since last year we made some changes in the company structure. We're focused on the US market, and we're just building up the subscription model on the US market. So the product development, the Robotics Kit development has been, we've raised seed funding, and also we received a number of grants for developing the robotics platform. And yeah, right now we are actually we kind of separated the US business, and for the US market, we again raised the seed funding because it is something new. It's a subscription based model. And so we raised another round of seed funding last year.
Is it for 2 separate entities, or is it one unique entity as a register?
It was for 2 separate entities, yeah.
Right. Makes sense. And how did your personal background lead to Robo Wunderkind?
Yeah, so I'm actually coming from the business background. So it is... I think part of the motivation to do Robo Wunderkind was for me that on one hand I could see how fast the world changes and how fast technology is changing the whole industries. On the other hand, I felt that I didn't build enough. I wish I had more exposure to what is possible in the field of science and technology at the school age. Yeah. And also asking myself, how can we prepare children for such fast-moving world, and what kind of skills are required, and how can we teach those skills? It was again something which led me back to actually by hands-on learning, coming up with your own projects and trying out to implement them. Those are the skills which are really, really helpful. And so yeah, it was part of personal motivation that I would like to make sure that children don't get the chance to explore and technology and what is possible at a young age, with have a chance to develop positive attitude. And on the other hand, I was I just building robots is really fun. And I was thinking about Like it's maybe the school is also a place where we just need more fun, and like fun and learning is not self-exclusive. So
no, it's
yes,
self-reinforcing.
Exactly. Yeah. So there was a number of factors which merged together to give me motivation to start Robo Wunderkind.
I understand, for sure. Is there any particular announcement? I think the announcement is, hey, United States, we're here and we're rolling out around the States, but perhaps you have any specific announcement on top of that?
I think that's definitely, like you put it well together. So we're very focused. We're very also honored that like we have partners who are putting trust in us, and who also open to working on their challenges with a young company with European roots. So I think the message is we're really looking forward to doing more, collecting our experience on the US market, and with time we hope that we will bring all their expertise we earned to European market as well, and can do more here. Yeah.
I have no other questions left, but I do thank you a lot for being with me today. Anna, it was a real pleasure to talk to you today, and I look forward to seeing the development of Robo Wunderkind in the States and hopefully later on in Europe.
Yeah, thank you, Luigi. It was a real pleasure to have a chat, and I hope we'll see each other again.
Thank you.
And I can share more about our progress.
Sure. Thank you.